This is Honors Algebra 2 Pre-Calculus. We're doing homework review for 10.3 in Pre-Calc, number 23 on page 772. So we're given some information about an ellipse. We're given that it has vertices at 0, 1, and 4, 1. And we're given that the minor axis has ends, which we usually call not vertices, right, when we're trying to abbreviate them, 2, 0, 2, 2. Again, that not vertice thing, not vertices, is a Hoganism, but that's what they are, the ends of the minor axis. You don't have to graph this, but it makes it way easier if you're looking at it and you try and graph. So if I just do a really crappy version of this graph, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, great. Okay, so I have a vertex at 0, 1, and I have a vertex at 4, 1. Okay, so this tells me a couple pieces of information. Piece of information number 1 is that the vertices are in the x direction, right? And that the center has to lie halfway between them. So the first piece of information I get is that the center is going to be 2, 1, okay? The second piece of information I get from this is that the distance between the vertex and the center, which we call A, is 2 units, and it's in the x direction, which is going to matter. Okay, so just this piece of information gave me 2 pieces of information that I need. The second thing I'm told is that the non-vertices, or the minor axis ends, are at 2, 0, and 2, 2. So, again, if you want to just use NV for those, okay? So what that gives me is it gives me the information that B, which is the distance from this not a vertex to the center, right? So this thing gives me the information that B is 1 in the y direction. Together, that's enough for me to write the equation of an ellipse, right? So the way an ellipse works is that in an ellipse, whichever direction is the longer one, that's A in an ellipse, and the x stuff is going to go on top of that because the A is in the x direction. So I'm going to get x minus 2, because that's the coordinate of the center, squared over A squared, which is either a 2 squared or a 4, up to you, plus y minus 1 quantity squared over b squared, which is a 1 squared is 1, equals 1. And that's my equation. And the book has, I believe they didn't bother to write the 1 on the bottom. They just made it y minus 1 quantity squared over nothing, which is totally fine. But this is a little bit more useful. So again, just a reminder, an ellipse that is longer this way is x minus h quantity squared over a squared plus y minus k squared over b squared equals 1, right? And an ellipse that is longer this way, right? So if this is your, like, Hey Arnold, and this is your Bert from Bert and Ernie, or this is your Stewie Griffin, right? Whatever. This would be y minus k quantity squared over a squared plus x minus h quantity squared over b squared equals 1, right? So again, I had to figure out the orientation of this ellipse to know whether the x would be the front value or the y. And then I needed to figure out the values of A and B, where A is from the center to the vertex and B is from the center to the non-vertex.